that for like a period of time I was applying for like different jobs, to be honest, because jobs that I wanted and those I didn't. I think it got to a point that I went from the fact that I wanted to work where I felt valued to see anyway that I just paying money, good money, I want to go there. Honestly, I don't even remember applying for this job. Company is in the hair and skin industry, right? But they just called. I just run straight at it. I was like, I didn't see the mail. And so that's why I didn't respond. So she said she was going to resend, the job description. She called again. We had like a second interview, and that was it. And she said she was going to get back to me, I think, few days after. Long story cut short here, I got the job eventually, and then she told me the salary. So there's like a 3 months probation period, and then the salary for the 3 months probation period was like a lot. And then like after the 3 months, my salary increases immediately. I get like a certain percentage of the company after a year. So like everything just sounded like so cool to me. And I'm like, Omo, I do alright. I need to be sugar mommy of Lagos after this job and all of that. So I resumed, but then like I didn't go into the office. I was working remotely. So the first day that I would go to work, she asked me to come in for 10. Now, I forgot to mention something. While she was interviewing me, she was telling that, there was like there was somebody occupying the head of operation role before me, but then like, she just really said like stuff about this lady that would make you feel like, yeah, this person doesn't know her job at all. So I get to the office, I met this lady, and I told her that, I'm here to see so person, and then she asked me to have a seat. And then she came in for 10, and first thing she did was ask everybody to step outside. And in my head, I'm like, okay. But I didn't say anything, I was just there. And the first thing she goes saying is, yeah, you might think that coming early is supposed to earn you a bonus point or make you look like a good person, but coming early is as good as coming late. And when you have plenty question mark in your head. For example, when you're using like maybe like an Excel, and then you're writing something on spreadsheet, you're seeing plenty hashtag. That was what happened in my head. And I'm like, what? Like in all my years of working, I've never in my entire life heard that coming early is as good as coming late. So that I'm already like, okay, it's like I'm inside my house, but I'm like, okay, let me just be observing. So I just apologized, and she said, yeah, that like coming early is me putting her under pressure and all of that. That apparently the lady I met was the former head of operations, and that she had not told her anything yet and everything. And in my head, I'm like, how do you blame me for something you failed to do? Common sense requires that if you're replacing a person, you let the previous person know that you're being replaced. Sha introduced me to the girl saying, oh, like this is our new head of operations, da da da. I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, cool kid is around and all of that. Before she left, the first red flag I saw that should have even made me be like, you know what, nah, I can't work here was, so she has extreme OCD. Now, this cleaner literally wiped everywhere clean. And when I mean wiped everywhere clean, like you could literally eat on the floor. And then she saw a dot. Like, I don't know what she saw it from. And, she now called the cleaner. She was like, oh, what's this dot doing here and everything? Then the cleaner told her, like, it's like a permanent stain and everything. And then she's like, no, that's not possible. And then the cleaner was like, oh, that he has actually cleaned everywhere. There's a permanent stain. And then the next thing she screamed. Like, don't tell me. Don't argue with me. Like, I know what I'm saying. It's a permanent stain. What you mean it's a permanent stain? Get it clean. Remove it. Figure out how to remove it. And I'm like, ha. Okay. Anyways, so eventually, while the cleaner was trying to, get it cleaned, so he passed somewhere around her and everything. And she literally screamed like, don't pass here. If you need to go out, you're literally asking the cleaner to take like a long walk because you don't want him to come near you and everything. And then she kept saying, go, move. Why are you standing there? Why are you standing beside me? Go. And I'm just like, ha, wahala. Anyways, so yeah, eventually she left. And then I was asking the girl that I met, that like, oh, how's working here and everything. And then when somebody has a lot to say, but it's just trying to be like, you experience it yourself and everything. And I'm just like, okay. So after that day, he called us and told us that, oh, like a certain, plant person will delivering like some cactus plants and all of that we should get it. We should just like receive it. So we said, okay. So the person came with like 10 cactus plants, right? So the next day when myself and every other person came to the office, I noticed that one of the plants was like, actually two of them was like changing color a bit. So I mean, I have two cactus plants in my house. So I'm not a florist, but I know a thing or two about plants. So immediately I saw that it was changing color, I instructed the cleaner to water it a bit because the sand was really dry. So it was just a bit like I literally monitored the cleaner. Like it was just like few drops of water in each. And then just like observe it and see what happens. In my own head, right, what I feel as a person, right, is that yes, there are certain things that you need like to ask for authorization or instructions for, but not like small things. If your boss then say, oh, you have to literally call request to pay, request to carry you, then in my own opinion, I think that person is just looking for a slave. The next day after we watered the plant, we came in and then the plant was still like dying. So I instructed the other lady to send an email and then let her know that, it was still dying. Actually, I think I was the one that sent the email. So we just sent the email and then she called. So I picked the call and she was like, oh, that what happens to cactus plant. So I explained to her. And then the next thing, she started shouting. That was stressing her. I think she has a thing for shouting, to be honest, if you ask me. She was like, oh, that was stressing her. That her London staff, that they don't stress her this much. She had 2 Zoom meetings with them this morning and everything went peacefully. That but with us, whenever she thinks about even coming to the office, that she literally just gets irritated. That whose authorization did we get to water the plant and everything. So I told her like, oh, I actually know a thing about cactus plants, and like it wasn't like we actually overwatered anything, it was just like few drops. She was like, I don't care if you're a florist, I don't care if you're the owner of Coca-Cola company, I don't care who you are. Did you ask me for authorization? And I was like, no. And then so like, who asked you to water the plant? Then what was stressing her? Bunch of kids that were acting like children, that she can't do this, that we cannot work for her. If we cannot understand that we need to ask for instruction and follow instruction, that we cannot work for her, that we might as well leave, that she cannot do this, she just kept shouting. And then she now asked me to tell every other person that henceforth, that whoever cannot follow instructions exactly as she has stated them can as well leave. So there's a particular place where we put like tissue or like serviette for anybody to use, but then she mostly uses it. So normally when we're running out of stuff in the office, we just like write a list of things that we need and then it is like replaced and everything, right? And then she had sent that list 2 days before, right? She didn't, my boss didn't respond to it, my boss didn't acknowledge it. Normally, after she sent the email, you're supposed to acknowledge or at least let her know when these items will be replaced. But then, like, you don't say anything. These items are needed. Nobody knows any like what to do or anything. So she saw a tissue in the office area and decided to replace it with it. She came in, saw this tissue. Apparently, for you to see a brand new tissue, common sense, you know that it has been replaced. She didn't see anything, right? So she used this tissue until the tissue finished. Then this particular morning, she came in and she wanted to use tissue, right? And then she didn't find any tissue. And then next she was like, oh, where's tissue? And then this girl tells her like, oh, we're out of tissue and everything. She now asked her where she got the previous tissue from. And then she was like, oh, that she saw it in one of the boxes in the office. And then that was all this girl said. And then my boss, she was like, who asked you to take the tissue? Why would you check the box and then take a tissue? That you didn't ask for authorization. And in my head, I'm like, wait, what? Like, you need authorization to get a bloody tissue. I'm talking about 15 naira tissue, you guys. I'm not even saying like, oh, it's like maybe a branded tissue or like, maybe they brought it from abroad. By authorization, you need to send an email saying, dear ma, and then you subject a request to carry tissue. That's stealing. And if you literally called my colleague a thief for carrying tissue in an office space. The one that was like the cherry on the top for me, and that day I literally lost it, was I was supposed to process a client's request. And then there's a particular procedure that we follow. But this particular day, I don't know what side of the bed she woke up on, to be honest. I don't know who broke her heart. I processed it as we should. And then I called her to confirm that she got. Because once I'm done processing, she gets an email in a mailing address that only her can confirm it. So what we do is we call her to confirm the mail, and then she can give us like a code to enter, and then we can just like finish up. So I called her as per usual that day, and I called her and I was like, "Oh, I'm just calling to confirm that you got the mail and everything." And then she was like, "Oh, okay." And she asked me who it was from, and then I called out the name. Now, usually when you work on out names, we don't put Mr. or Miss because there's some names that are unisex, so we don't know if it's a male or female and everything. So I'm guessing because she knows a particular person, the next thing you go, "Oh, I'm calling somebody's old name by father by his name, so that one." I apologized, and then she now kept. So you fail to focus on what we were supposed to do, and then you now kept talking about it. That, "Oh, why would I be calling the person by his name? Why did I put Mr.?" But like, I literally just apologized. I was supposed to have gotten the code, I didn't get, so I called her again. And then she was like, "Oh, that she doesn't need to hear our voice more than like once or at all today. That I've called her 2 times, I've disturbed her from what she's doing. The what right do I have to think that I can decide how a calendar would go, how a day would go, or how she would spend her time? And that all of this I'm saying now that I could have just sent it via mail." This is the same person that literally instructed that when we need to confirm like the email and get the code, we should call her. So eventually I said, "Okay." And to me, I'm thinking that's for next time because I have already given you all the details that you need for this current one. And then she called 5 minutes later and asked why I didn't send the mail. And honestly, I did want to go back and forth. So I was just like, "Oh, they're trying to send it and that, the next one was bad." And then she was like, "Oh, like bunch of kids, bunch of idiots. I can't deal." And then she ended the call. The process that was supposed to take like 2-3 minutes literally took about 30 minutes. And then she called again, and then she was like, "Oh, that she didn't want to hear my voice." And she gave the phone to my colleague. And then she was just ranting and talking and repeating the same thing that we've heard over and over again. By the way, she's always threatening to fire. So that day, she threatened to fire. After then, she now asked my colleague to give me the phone. So that one, that whatever I give from all of this, I didn't say anything, I apologize. And then she goes and says, "I have zero value." I could feel this anger inside of me because I feel like, first of all, aside the fact that I did not for any reason deserve that. And then now you're blaming me for that and you're telling me that I have zero values for a mistake that you made. Nah, bro. And then she wanted me. She wanted me to admit to the fact that I had zero values. And I didn't say a word. Because I was, honestly, if she had come into the office that particular day, God knows that I would not have been able to hold my phone. I was so pissed. And then she goes, "Oh, if you have zero values, if you're adding absolutely nothing, if you're adding absolutely nothing to the company, why should I put you in my payroll?" I didn't say anything. And then she goes, "Oh, I meant talking to myself. Are you there?" I said, "I'm here." And then she was shouting hello, hello over again. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm here. I can hear you." And then she's like, "Oh, that's why I don't have any answers to your question. I don't have any defense." And I said, "No." So that actually, she was shocked because me, she was expecting me to be like, "Oh, I agree. I have zero value now," which I'm never ready to do. And then she was like, "Oh, that yeah, I'm going to come to the office tomorrow. We're going to have a conversation. If things can't continue like this." And I said, "Okay." I didn't even put mad at this point. I just said, "Okay." That next day, I was dressed like that was my last day. I had already called a friend of mine, like that stays close to where my office is, that I would only spend 2-3 hours in the office. I'm coming to his house to chill for the rest of the day. The minute she came in, I already opened my Bolt app because I'm ready to request Uber and just leave the office, to be honest. And then she came in and nothing happened. She didn't say what. She didn't have a conversation with me. Nothing. In fact, she was extra nice to me that day, and I'm just wondering, okay, I don't understand. You literally said you're going to have a conversation with me today, so I'm wondering what is happening. So that day just went like that. I'm just like, yeah. Working with that woman is just like a lot. So literally, if you're working with her, you literally have to function, think, and act like a robot. You just do what you're told. You're told rather. You don't think that you know something. You don't think that you have an experience somewhere. You don't think like nothing. Whenever this woman is around, you can literally smell fear in the air. You can smell fear and like tension in the air. And honestly, if you ask me, that is not an environment for anybody to work with. I don't intend to stay long there at all. I don't even intend to. I think she knows. So for some reason, she's holding my salary, which is another red flag, to be honest. My salary has been due since like 26th of last month. She hasn't paid me for whatever reason. She's not saying anything about it. You can't ask her because she doesn't like reminders. So you're literally stuck. and then you're just there. You don't know what to do. And I think she's aware that I am about to take a bold, like a serious decision. So maybe that's why she's intentionally holding my sorry, I have no idea. Because I just wanted to get that an X. I'm just going to advise everybody like looking for a job. I understand that the country is tough. I understand that getting a job is difficult, but absolutely nothing is worth stressing yourself over. Like a toxic, your happiness is key. Your mental health is very important. Nothing is as important as your mental health. To be honest, it's not just relationship. Office, you would find like toxic boss, toxic colleagues. There's just toxic people are toxic, whether in relationship or offices or like in friendships and everything. And like once you sense or smell it, run.